Damn
All
it.
right, listen, it's 4:10. The Canuck, he's punctual. He likes to start
Well,
at 4
I
p.m.,
was
but
brought up. I was brought up around the military, and dinner was exactly at 6 o'clock at night. And if you weren't sitting at the table at exactly 6 o'clock at night, yeah. Anyway, it's all good. I mean, I live in a mountainous region where people don't even keep track of the time most of the time. Like, what day is it? You know? Oh, and that guy
I
walks
got
in and he says, "It sure is windy out there." And the other guy says, "No, it's not. It's Wednesday." And never mind. All right, so we got a bunch of show topics today. Mainly, we're trying to make sense of the multitudes of platforms that exist for social media. And the Yankee just shared with me that he's on getting texts from so many different platforms. And it occurred to me, like, why do you need to be on so many platforms? But, I guess that's part of the game. I mean, obviously, we all know of Facebook, and then there's Twitter, and so that anyway, the
yeah.
Yankees going to go through a bunch of them, and I'll probably just sit here and make stray Canadian kind of comments on it, condiments. I'll add some relish to it.
Indeed, I just have to get a link in here because India now has a social media platform that seems to be getting buzz here in the West, in the grand old United States and North America. There is another country here in North America, north of us. I think it's called Canada, and there's one to the south that it's called Mexico, but sometimes escapes me. Sometimes it escapes me because I'm a Yankee.
Well, you never need to leave. You live in the great. You live it.
Yeah.
No, Americans don't ever need to know about any other countries because it's better that way. It's actually better that way for the other countries, so you all stay there.
Ignorance is bliss.
Is bliss. That's right.
Bliss.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go back to being ignorant.
It's after easier. The show, okay? You're supposed to be expert at least for half an hour on this. Otherwise, I'm going back to my barbecue.
Wow. So, yeah, we'll start off. I mean, the main aspect, social media is in crisis. You've got too many platforms. I can't keep up. No one can. Everything's, we had the era of the tech monopolies, and that's appears. I mean, it seems like, we're moving towards another massive explosion. It's like the internet is like back in the 90s, right? Late 90s, it started exploding. The web, the first version of the web, just had an explosion. And then you had the second, Web 2. That's when you had the Facebooks and all the big social media platforms, Twitter, and all the others, right? So, and now we're at Web 3, and we have all this massive infrastructure. Social media platforms are already here, but now we're getting blockchain and cryptocurrencies and IPFS for censorship. The data propagates across all the nodes. You can't, very difficult to try to erase the data. And that is a worldwide, IPFS is a worldwide protocol anyone can use. It's community-based, much like in the beginning parts of the internet where you had news groups and everything else. But everything is just too scattered. And Discord, well, I'll go over Discord later. Let me first post the show notes in the chat if anyone is interested.
Show notes include all our links, by the way, for those of you. You can find them at variant-news.com anytime.
And I just did a real quick mic check. All right, so show notes. So kick it off with China's microblogging giant Weibo faces delisting risks in U.S. And this is from TechCrunch. If you are into tech-related news, they've been covering it, a lot of it, for a long time. So decent site overall, I think. U.S. regulators have hastened their pace to enforce a law that could delist Chinese companies of which accounting papers can't be inspected. The addition of Weibo, the Twitter equivalent of China, to a delisting watch list by the Securities and Exchange Commission could mean other Chinese internet giants like Alibaba and Baidu are not far from facing the same pressure. In 2022, the Trump administration passed a bill designed to tighten accounting standards on foreign companies. The law, which demands visibility into the books of U.S.-listed foreign firms, especially China-based ones, has not sat well with some countries that are wary of turning over data that could compromise their national security. China was one of the few countries not fully cooperating with the SEC's Public Company Accounting Oversight Board, which was created to audit foreign firms trading stocks in the U.S. So, yeah, all of we could see a pattern here in all of these the major social media platforms in China being delisted if they are listed here in the U.S. And I'm working on a separate post on the site that is going to list all these social media platforms across the world. It's a bit of a daunting task. If you're out there, you're interested in helping me, let me know. You can contact us at Variant-News, or obviously here in the chats on DLive or anywhere else. Moving on, I've got some notes here, and then maybe one more link. Let me refresh this puppy. There we go. CCP controls TikTok to data mine and social engineer propaganda. Western economies, Chinese citizens cannot use TikTok. So that's really interesting. So, you've got Facebook that does psychological tests on their massive user base, so billion to 2 billion, whatever it is. And TikTok's doing the same, but just in really Western markets, especially the U.S. I don't think people really need to wake up to this. I do use TikTok, but I'm using TikTok because I want the CCP to know that I'm there. That's a
really good idea, especially to listen to the next story.
I actually tried. TikTok is also supposed to be updating to 10-minute videos because I wanted to put our classic, absolutely just historical Bizarro News, the egg farmer and the hen, which we'll discuss later. I was trying to get that up, and I could only do 3-minute video. So I'm not sure. Maybe you can only do 10-minute live streams on TikTok. I'm figuring that out, but it's a nightmare. Moving on, Russ Graham, or is it? Yeah, I think it's going to be called Russ Graham. It's an absolutely horrible name. Yeah. If you know of a better name, so Russ Graham obviously is going to be Russia's version of Instagram. If you know of a better name that they could have used, let us know. But that's deeply disturbing. Because in reality, I think social media needs to turn away from stuff like Instagram. I think it's not one of the better social media platforms. And when Twitter first came out, I'd like to say it really was a great. It was good for data mining, just tracking things, tracking news. But now we've gotten obviously to the point where a certain political agenda, or you can't say certain things. It's very lopsided, and that leads to one of the other notes I have here, that Elon Musk got onto Twitter, and was basically saying, do we need a new Twitter? And then, of course, all of his followers are like, of course, Musk does that stuff just to get feedback and stir things up. And all his followers are like, buy it, buy it, buy it. Who knows? I hate stuff like this because it's very rumor-based, and Musk is kind of toying with the masses here. But
well, that's the thing. I mean, I think you just hit on one of the stickier parts, that the quality of writing and the quality of thought has just gone down to its lowest common denominator, so people get attention. Like some of the stuff on TikTok, a bunch of kids broke into their school and did tens of thousands of dollars of damage destroying a bathroom because somebody had put it up on TikTok as a dare to do that.
And think about that. So the CCP. You can argue the CCP is engineering that.
Well, it's not just the CPP. I mean, we'll tear them apart soon too. But and I say not just
But my
apart, but
point is this: if all this crazy stuff is happening on TikTok, where these teenagers are doing crazy stuff, it's too massive to have these platforms where there's just millions and millions and millions of people, and it's unmanageable. There's people and there's fake news. It's just a criminal elements. We don't know what's happening. There's
that's
massive
going
amounts
on.
of
Yeah.
violent content that's getting pushed up, and then now AI is not there to the point where it can remove all of that stuff. So they
Well, yeah. I mean,
unfortunately now they're hiring people to go through this material where it's extremely violent acts, and then those people are having psychological problems. It's a massive problem,
well, the
deep-seated
thing is,
societal problem.
it is a deep-seated societal problem, exactly, and it's a society problem. I mean, yeah, okay, regulate this, regulate that, you know, but what the cause of this is that society in general has dropped its threshold of intellectualism, if you call it that. People used to read books, and now that they want you know 10-second video clips. But going back to the social media thing and the social engineering that can be accomplished using social media, particularly like we a situation in the Philippines, uh, where they control the social media so good that they just got everybody hoodwinked into thinking the guy is a super freaking good guy, and he is, but not really. I mean, he kills people and he completely suppresses his opposition. So it's we can look at all the details and everything, and like I say, unfortunately, there's no particular simple solution. It's a societal problem. I think what has to be recognized is almost like a uh, you know psychological pandemic in a way, because it's just gotten away from everybody. And like you say, now with these platforms having millions of users, the owners
Billions.
of those platforms, billions of users in many cases, uh, the owners of those things, or the controllers of them, of course, they have a lot of influence, and that's discussed a lot. But I just think it's sad that society has dropped itself. I mean, I use Facebook in the winter because I get really bored and it's really remote out here and it gives me some connection to human beings. But, I know people glued to their smartphones. I see them walking down the street. I see them crossing the street looking at their smartphones to making sure nobody's going to run over them. And and they're monitoring their Twitter account, I would imagine, their Facebook account, or who knows what
Well, there's
account.
also been, just here on D Live, obviously not trying to. Well, just a little bit of criticism to D Live. They're starting to ban chat, so there's issues.
Well, it's challenging.
And yeah, so I think everybody needs to try to work together to a better solution. There's streamers. A lot of streamers have left D Live. So
Well, I think
everything is in transition, and we really need. I think for the independent people that just want to stream and have their voices be heard, it's not working what we're doing. We're just constantly moving platforms, so we have to figure out. We have to build an open platform. And I have been talking to other people here on D Live, Sour D and Tech, and a few others. But that's very much needed. But we're in the works of doing that. Jitsu, whatever. We got to figure something out because long term, we don't have a long term path. Things are all just scattered, so we got to work on that.
Yeah, and I think that the tie-in between live streaming and social media is social media too, because we've got a chat room and people drop in and they chat, so that's like social media. But I think that the focus, at least maybe for today or this show, is on the big chat room based platforms like TikTok. They say they're banned in China, but aren't they owned by the Chinese, or they were started by the Chinese? Like, what's up with that, right? The ownership of these companies, I mean, everybody, you've all heard of Mark Zuckerberg, right? I mean, what's your opinion of Mark? Did Mark phone you the other day, trying to get you to work for him again?
Oh my God, I have recruiters contacting me quite often.
Yeah.
I think I'm actually going to engage them again. I have engaged with
Why
Facebook
don't you go
recruiters.
work for him? You can go deep, go undercover, find out what's going on, and then quit before they shoot you or put you in the metaverse.
All right, hear me out. If there's
All
anybody
right.
out there, I don't know. I might. I think I'm going to engage the recruiter because I just want to get some information. Again, the last time I talked to them, they just they make it sound like it's the greatest thing in the world to work at
It
Facebook.
is.
And
Of
from
course
what
it
I've
is.
heard, you have to. Well, not have to. I mean, it's it's a cult. You basically go there and
Yeah.
you're like on a campus, like you're in college, and
Yeah.
they feed you, whatever you want.
Oh,
All
they
kinds
feed
of
you.
things. You want a massage, whatever. They have like quiet rooms. A lot of startups do that stuff. So that's your
Yeah.
work constantly. You're basically. I mean, I've worked at many startups. I mean, they just expect that. Obviously, they say, oh, it's 5 days a week, but and then all of a sudden you're working 7 days a week.
Yeah. And they're calling you at home too. Uh, yeah. I think part of the initiation is they take your brain and they give it a really good washing, brainwashing,
Yeah, it really is
and
brainwashing. Yeah. And then
yeah,
now,
and
what you have in all of the big ones, Facebook, Google, whatever, it's activism. They expect you to be an activist, and now that has turned its ugly head on all of these big companies, Facebook, especially Google. I mean, it's firing back big time on them because
right.
Google now, they're working with IBM on Chinese censorship on their surveillance
Right.
network inside China with the CCP, and the people that work for Google, the programmers and everyone else, HR, whatever, they don't want that. They don't want Google working in the military, so it's backfired for them
Yeah.
massively.
No doubt.
So the whole system everywhere, the internet is just hemorrhaging. Trump social network is elitist. I mean, it came out. Dabu7 covered this. Definitely check
Yeah.
out Dabu7. It's been here, obviously, on D Live for a very long time. But he was going over this, made some good points. iPhone only. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, I have everything under the sun because I'm a mobile developer or what have you, I'm a programmer. But
Yeah.
a lot of people don't have iPhones, and they really don't like iPhones.
Yeah.
And I
I
understand
don't
that,
have an iPhone.
But I can't even get on Trump's social thing, network, whatever the hell, Truth Social. You get put on a waiting list. It's ridiculous. But I would imagine that Trump, I think long term, in typical Trump fashion, he likes the aspect of it's an elitist launch of his app, iPhone only. I mean, some major deal was done with Tim Cook. Some
Yeah.
money was exchanged. Tim Cook made him pay. And I imagine Tim Cook likes that. He's like, I'm getting money out of Trump.
Yeah. No doubt.
But you'll see if Truth Social does gain traction on iPhone, which I don't know why it would. It seems like most of people on iPhones probably wouldn't be Trump supporters, but who knows?
Well, yeah.
It's got to go. We'll see long term where that goes, but moving on. What are you laughing at?
No, just iPhone users. Would they all vote Democrat or something? No.
Right. I think there's a big chunk of iPhone users that are kind of like liberal that wouldn't vote for Trump.
Let's see
What
that
do you
way.
think?
No, I think if you did a demographic, actually, the types of people that spring the extra money and go with the iPhone.
There's definitely a basis. There's definitely a percentage of iPhone users that would be open to a Trump social media app. But
like I'm 100% Apple computer guy. I mean, I have nothing other than Apple, but I have an Android iPad or pad thing, ideally, and I have an Android phone, and I think that's just fine. But that's completely different than the operating system difference between Microsoft and Apple. But yeah, I would say and it's like Subaru drivers. They Subaru drivers. I bet they generally vote Democrat too.
Well, I drive a Subaru, and I'll vote for anybody if I vote.
Well, you drive a
But
Subaru. Well, that's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
Well, I'm not going to pass judgment on Subaru owners,
yeah.
but
I know a lot of people like to rag on people that drive
actually,
Subaru.
I when I see a Subaru, I
But
just assume they're going to do something stupid drivingly. But that's just
Subarus have really fast, like the Impreza, but now they have a new model. It's actually, I think, only rear-wheel drive or something. But
oh,
the cars are fast and they're great in the snow. That's what I like. I
yeah.
go crazy in the snow doing donuts and shit. I don't
Oh
give a
no,
shit.
no, they're great cars. I've driven one. My ex-wife has one. I've driven it a bunch, and I wrote a song. I'll give it to you really quick. Subaru people are the happiest people in the world.
You know,
Okay,
you're like an Irish person. You just start breaking out in song or
I
something.
get
But
paid to do
yeah.
that. I get paid to do that, but
But it's
today I'm doing it for free.
4:31. We'll wrap up just a couple more things. I think I just want to cover India's new coup platform, and then we'll move
So,
on. We'll move on.
basically, I think what we're getting to is there's a lot of platforms. There's a lot of people using. There's a lot of people using multiple platforms. It's all owned by somebody that's probably at heart manipulative, whether it be a government or a business. And it's almost impossible to regulate because the people hard to regulate, but they're going to regulate anyway. And so the last one we have, the last new kid on the block is for India. India has a lot of people, like it's second biggest population in the world. Pushing 1 billion people or more. So what do they got? Is it any good?
Well, let's move over here. What? I've got to fix something quick. I don't know how that happened, but it happened.
Yeah.
I switched over to Firefox for some reason. Let me just check something real quick.
Yeah.
All right, let me just.
Show notes here. Sort of.
It's all good. The show note, it's up. Actually, I've got the coup. The coup article is up from gnet-research.org.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And social media has greatly reconfigured the relationship between the state and its people, especially by becoming the primary avenue through which dispensations engage in narrative control, manage public opinion about the policy, and monitor dissenting views to forge an alignment between the interests of the state and discourse taking place on social media platforms has become an important policy imperative in recent years.
Mm-hmm.
Thus, when big technology companies such as Twitter are perceived to be going against the interests of a state, the social media marketplace that has come to resemble a splinter net props up alternatives seemingly more sympathetic to the government's interests. So this goes back to Twitter has just been pissing off governments across the world. And now, of course, what's going to happen? Every country is now going to create their own Twitter clones and social media platforms. In India, this was evident with the rise of Coup, a microblogging site emulating Twitter but promising an India-centric social media experience. Barely a year old, the app was founded through the Atma Newer App Challenge, a government initiative encouraging self-reliance in the field of science and technology, interestingly placing social media parallel to issues such as defense technology, energy, and so on. Coup's popularity first surged in response to the clashes between India and China at Galwan Valley in summer 2020. Just the basics of it. Anybody out there, if you're like interested in checking out Coup and you're here in the United States, let me know. See if you can get like obviously a language translator. Or for that, I want to start doing more stuff like that. I've translated DLive chat from like Austrian to English and stuff like that, and I want to. It's tricky, but I want to get a setup where I can just quickly convert wherever I am online to whatever language I need to.
Right on.
I think people really should, try to get out of your comfort zone. You know what I mean?
Tell me about it.
And explore other countries and media platforms. But
well, yeah, it's always a good idea. I mean, there's a lot of countries out there, and there's a lot of stories, a lot of different angles. Really hard to get information. I mean, you watch it Canadian news stations, and it's mostly about Canada, of course, and same with the States. And Al Jazeera is the only thing I can find easily that covers world things, like what's going on in Bahrain or someplace. Okay, well, do you want to move on to the ugly story of the week, the scary one, the be glad you're not Chinese
Well,
story?
yeah,
Or?
what do we have sequentially here? We can, just real quick, I want to do Saudi Arabia because I think this is important. This is actually a little bit old, and I'll see if... this is the basics, and of course, are we getting a paywall? Yes. Let me just do real quick. Oil price, Congress. Did I? Oh, I might have lost my archive. The archive link. Well, the basics of it, and I've got to get back to anybody out there if they've been using Archive. Archive has got a site where you can get past the paywall sometimes when if the article's old enough. So let me know if you know of services like that. But so this is from Wall Street Journal. Saudi Arabia considers accepting yuan instead of dollars for Chinese oil sales. We covered this a little bit. Essentially,
oil prices
just
are
check
surging,
out a little bit of
with
this
few
video,
signs
about a
of
minute
slowing
or so.
down. Brent crude oil, the global benchmark for energy markets, surpassed $100 a barrel after Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered an attack on Ukraine.
Oil has climbed pretty rapidly over the past year, and it's climbing further with Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The main reason why is there's a concern that this conflict could disrupt energy exports into global markets.
The supply and demand dynamics have contributed to the jump in oil prices. And for consumers, when oil becomes more expensive, so do other goods and services. Here's how it works.
There's many different ways.
So that's just the basics, the economic model for oil. But the big story here is, and Canuck, you are not showing up.
Yeah, well, I went away. Okay, I was very busy watching
Why didn't you
the video.
tell me? No, I had to hook you up. Sorry, when we went to the media viewer. Now you're hooked up. All right, you're all good. Now you're all good. So
I've always been all good.
So, possible, I don't know, down the road. I mean, the yuan still doesn't have enough power against the dollar, but CCP is going to keep pushing this until it's going to try to get it to the value of the dollar, and that's going to be concerning because then it will have a chance of really dominating the world. So, right now, this deal might not happen, but it may. But it's very unlikely, but it may happen down the road, and they've got to be looking into it. Another big thing, and I should definitely put it in the show notes if I remember, but India is buying oil from Russia. And,
yeah, I noticed that.
And I'm not sure if they're paying in dollars or not, but and the United States is looking the other way. They're not saying anything.
Well,
so
it's
India's really, they're too big, I think, for the United States to, they don't want to bring it up.
Well, it's really tricky because India used to have quite a close relationship with the USSR back in the day, and they're pretty good at sitting on the fence. I mean, technically, they're almost a neutral country. They're definitely not part of any military alliances. They're pretty much on their own.
Right, but if they keep doing this, they're not going to get, I think, to where they need to be.
Well, they know that. I mean, obviously, the thing about India, and I'm speaking from someone that spent considerable time there, it's in a constant state of crisis. So, that's probably what they're doing. They're buying Russian oil now, but I'm quite sure they're working on it. And we'll get back to this story, and it'll probably be part of our Silken Road special, which will probably happen in 3 or 4 weeks. And we're going to go in deep with the China Silk and Road Initiative, where they're basically pumping money into countries and more or less taking them over at the same time, economically at least. So are we ready to move on to the China thing, or you got?
Yeah. No, just give me a second here. Yeah, we're ready.
All right, I'll walk you through this. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, the global news is what we want. China pressures activist Canada. If you want to start with the Canada thing, you can start with the American thing. I don't care.
No, we'll just do whatever's up at the top.
Yeah, I didn't look at the show notes, but global news.
I mean,
7734158 China.
I've got Putin wants the West to defeat the purpose of its own sanctions.
No, that's not the one I wanted.
Well, there's Chinese agents are hunting down dissidents in America.
Yeah, do whatever you want. I'm
just
ready
going to
to
go
do
over
the
this
global
real
news.
quick. I'm just going to do this real quick.
Yeah.
Putin
Sorry
wants
about that,
the West
folks.
to defeat the purpose of its own sanctions. Vladimir Putin insisting that 48 hostile nations, the U.S., the U.K., and the EU's members among them, pay for Russian gas in rubles. The ban is more than provocation. It's a strategy to force the West to dilute the effects of its own sanctions on Moscow. So, obviously, we covered this a little bit, but same thing. And yuan is even, the ruble is even more worthless compared to the dollar. So nobody's going to do this. But there's a possibility that Putin might start accepting Bitcoin. So that's just something to watch. Could be a huge development. I think there's a big chance that he may use Bitcoin, but who knows. Moving on, we've got Russia and China going after dissidents. I don't know which one you want to start with here, Canuck.
Well, I didn't know about the Russia thing. I have a bunch on China, but go wherever you want. I'm ready with my Canadian stuff.
Well, we can do the Russia. I think we have mainly, as far as links, it's mainly just China going after dissidents.
That's what the theme was, I thought. But
yeah, but there's obviously Russia also.
Oh, Russia does that too, man. They go into foreign countries and they poison people and stuff like that. But the scale and the stealthness and the methodology that the Chinese are using upon citizens and former citizens, people that have relatives in China, is really deep, and it's affecting Canada directly a lot because we have a lot of Chinese here, and I imagine it's affecting Chinese Americans as well, and probably Chinese Britons. So yeah, whatever, dude. I'll just roll with you. I don't have the show notes. I have no idea what's going on. But yeah, we're talking about China and how they come over and hassle people, and then they hassle their relatives in China. So whatever you want to do.
We'll do China Uncensored.
Communist Party is hunting down
We're going to start at 40. And we'll do about a minute.
Okay.
Start right before.
It's a super fun way to build your skills and intuition. I'll show you more at the end. So, the Chinese Communist Party intimidates, harasses, and undermines people who speak out against it. And it's doing it more and more outside its own borders, including here in America. Last week, the U.S. Justice Department charged 5 people with stalking, harassing, and spying on U.S. residents on behalf of the Chinese secret police. 3 of the people have been arrested in the U.S. The other 2 are in China, where they better hope they don't get in trouble for being incompetent enough to get caught. These 5 people are charged in 3 separate cases. What links them all is that these Chinese agents specifically targeted Chinese Americans. And the U.S. government doesn't like that.
Members of the Chinese diaspora community, both in New York City and around the rest of the country, must be free to express themselves on politically sensitive issues without fear of reprisal from the PRC government. Our office will not permit efforts by the defendants and co-conspirators to erode the civil rights of U.S. residents on account of their Chinese ethnicity and their beliefs.
According to U.S. officials, these cases show the Chinese regime is exporting its repression onto U.S. soil. Great. Not only are we getting cheap made-in-China products, we also have to deal with cheap made-in-China repression, too. I'm going to get into the details of some of the cases a little later because you would not believe some of the things these Chinese agents got up to. But first, how the U.S. government is framing these cases is significant. They say this isn't just about targeting Chinese Americans, it's also about undermining America.
Transnational repression is part of the range of tactics that our adversaries employ to try to undermine our democracy, our economy, and our institutions.
Right. Okay, well, this is good. This is good. All right, because the next article, or when we get to the Canada thing, it's stating quite emphatically that the Canadian government says they cannot do anything about it. They're not taking any action. But you guys are defending your citizens. So once again, Canada's the Kahuna mission here.
Well,
Okay,
I mean, this is happening, just not China's doing this all over the world, but especially in the U.S. and to a certain degree in Canada. So, yeah, something has to be done.
I think that per capita, it's way worse up here because the government's not taking any action to protect our people. It says that when I get around to the Canadian thing. But, yeah, okay, what do you want to do next?
We're coming to get you. China's critics facing threats, retaliation for activism in Canada. So we have a global news. This one has the 4 videos.
If it's the global news 77341581, yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing a bunch here. Oh, I'm seeing Skater Boy, who I actually learned the other day. I was on Gypsy Mom's Twitter. Gypsy Mom, longtime follower of Tooge, and she's got a Twitter now. Check it out. But yeah, I posted on her Twitter. Trudeau
I don't know.
Used to be a skateboard instructor.
Yeah, but I don't think you have the right video because the one that I got doesn't have his picture at the top of it. Oh,
well, this one has 4 videos.
Well, we're coming to get you. Well, okay, well, we're coming to get you. China critics facing threats, retaliation for activism in Canada. That's the one.
Yeah, this one has multiple videos on it.
There you go. Okay, here we go. All right, check it out, folks. This is the deal. We're broadcasting live from Canada. This is what's going on. In July 2019, a guy named Mohet Toti was just hours away from speaking publicly to politicians about the Chinese government's horrific abuse of the Uyghur population when he received a message on Twitter, quote, "Your effing mother is dead." I'm sure they filled in the effing part. It read. All right, this guy had lost contact with his mother 3 years earlier. His story is just one of many for activists who speak out against the Chinese government in Canada. Despite being separated by an ocean, the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, and its supporters have methods of keeping activists in Canada under their thumb, and there's very little that Canadian law enforcement can do about it. Now, if you scroll down a ways, not the first video, keep scrolling, and you're going to come to a pretty-looking girl.
Asian girl?
Yeah, Cherry Wong. And we're going to play, well, you can play as much of it as you want. Start at the beginning and then just bail at some point. She has repeatedly faced death and rape threats, and she's describing what she's going through.
That's wonderful. CCP, they're just absolutely wonderful outfit.
Now, this is really serious, and I think it's serious in the States, but it's really, really serious here. I remember, we get taken advantage of by China a lot. They locked up 2 of our people. They didn't lock up 2 of your people, the Michaels, over Madame Butterfly's frigging arrest. Don't get me started. And I'm not racist, but I do not like what's happening here with the Chinese government messing with Chinese.
Nobody thinks you're racist. That's what the CCP does. If you criticize them, then they call you racist. Same thing. I think there's a massive parallel between woke leftism here in the United States and the CCP. They use the same model. I don't know if it's from the Communist Manifesto.
The CPP uses every tool in the drawer.
Yeah, it's all
economics. So yeah, why don't you play Sherry Wong? She's pretty cool, pretty empathetic. I mean, passionate about what she's saying. So we could play a little bit of that.
The most memorable experience I had was when we traveled to Vancouver to launch Alliance Canada Hong Kong. It was January 2020. I got to Vancouver. A friend of mine booked the hotel room for me. It was under their name. for extra security. And I think 2 days after we launched the alliance, I got this phone call at my hotel room saying, "We're coming to get you. Pack your things. We're coming to get you." And they just kept repeating, "We're coming. We're coming. Grab all of your things. We're coming to get you right now." And I didn't really realize what that phone call meant until very much later, that this phone call could have been related to launching the alliance and speaking up against the Chinese Communist Party, because first of all, the hotel room wasn't even booked under my name, and second of all, it was a very threatening tone on the phone, telling me that, we know where you are, this is your room number, and we're coming to get you. After that phone call, I hung up, I sat in my room and just started shaking and realizing that I could be in very real danger and not knowing what to do. I knew calling the police wouldn't really be an option because there wasn't really a real criminal threat. It was just someone saying, "I'm coming to get you." And that shook me to my core. And I did call the police. I did call the Vancouver police, but there were nothing that they could do for me aside from, well, we'll record the incident, but there's nothing we can do. I know for a lot of diasporic activists, we have families in Hong Kong and China, and very often when we do a press interview or when we do anything public that goes against the Chinese government, our families back home will have this session called, we call drink tea with the police officers. They come and knock on your door and say, "We're coming in to talk to you about your family in blah, blah, blah country who said."
Yeah, that's interesting. The drink tea.
Yeah.
I mean, that is tea in China, and it's strange how they make terms like that. It seems so.
Yeah, the tea visit from government
non-threatening.
officials. Yeah, she said from government officials back home in China, they come and knock on your door and say, "We're coming in to talk to you about your family." As officials sit down and drink tea with relatives in China, they offer a chilling warning, according to Wong. "Your family in Canada seem to be very active nowadays. Maybe you should tell them to stop." Now, I mean, come on, kids. This is like we're a country, right? I mean, supposedly, like a separate country. We're not China, and these people are living here. I mean.
Well, I think obviously, especially more so in the United States, I mean, there's just so many people that are asleep. They're asleep at the wheel.
Yeah.
And some type of conflict. Obviously, no one wants the end of the world, World War III. There's nuclear weapons. This could get insane. But we're already in a war with China, with Russia.
Oh, we've been, especially at least an economic
subversive.
war. Yeah, and if you scroll down this article, it does talk about, there's a video, I don't know if we got time to play it or not,
well, here's Skater Boy. That's the only video I see. Trudeau urges international community for coordination. Here we go. We've got Tibetan activist describes the incentives driving support. Is this the one?
Yeah, the Tibetan. Do
you want to do a little bit of this?
Yeah, I might as well.
All right, let's just do the whole thing because it's only a minute and 30.
There is that existence.
Okay, that'd be great.
This is a woman, not a man.
Okay, it's a woman. Sorry.
But a guy, you said guy, and nowadays I think people think guy means either male or female because there are no genders also. But that's another topic for. We're not going down a rabbit hole right now.
No, we don't have time. That's going to take a couple of weeks, a 2-week show without stopping.
What they do is they incentivize a lot of these initiatives as well. So folks who do go out of their way to, pledge their allegiance to the Chinese state or show up and lead these counter protests, oftentimes, are financially well off. There are foolproof receipts that you can find with Chinese Students and Scholars Association and Confucius Institute sort of student leaders that are being, taken to Holt Renfrew to shop and, giving and have been given free stays at like 5-star hotels. And they have these like meets that they're organizing amongst themselves. And so there is that economically funded or sort of driven incentives that are being provided to these individuals. Hong Konger students would not even enter the office because when they entered the office, they were being taken pictures of. And so that means that their families back home would also be subjected to threats. So I had to meet them actually in secrecy, or people would actually come in wearing their masks, not face mask, but rather like a full head-on, sometimes like clown masks and sometimes like V for Vendetta type masks, to enter my office to be able to talk to me. And so because of that, whether it was self-censorship or is the intimidation tactics, either way, it really came in the way of me being able to actually help them.
Yeah. Yeah, 1950s is when it started, and the resistance to it has gone on. The Dalai Lama had to flee Tibet. Tibet is like a center of huge historical religious being, Buddhism, Taoism. So we're going back, 70 years now that people have been trying to draw attention, and also it ties into the India China thing. And this one guy, he said, I was attacked by thousands and thousands, I would say over 10,000 messages and comment that were not just hate speech. I had death threats, rape threats. They were against me, also targeted my family members. I mean, it's not just a knock on the door. It's like these people are going after these people. And according to CSIS, which is our equivalent to the CIA down there, Canada doesn't have laws against clandestine foreign influence. How
could they not have a law for that?
We don't. All right. I don't know why. Listen, there's a lot of stupid things.
Mind-boggling, stupid.
Well, we don't have a law. We do not have a law that quote unquote clandestine foreign influence is allowed in Canada. Harassment, open, and there's nothing. This guy went on.
You know what? Maybe. I mean,
okay, check it out. This guy, he had cars parked outside his house for weeks, and no one, neighbors recognized. Individuals have come to his front door in Ottawa asking questions about his activities. And Wong went on and said her internet, the woman we just watched, Wong went on and said her internet awful feels when she gets online with members of parliament to discuss the plight of Hong Kongers. Chinese officials continue to visit family members back home in China for tea. They often do so after individuals like Wong speak to the media. She said, to this day, the Tibetan guy says he still doesn't know what happened to his mother. Because we started with that guy with his mother. Your mother is effing dead. This is disturbing stuff. And then we got another YouTube video, which I think is on subject. I imagine it is.
I gotta increase the lights here. Hold on. Okay, Google, set smart strip to 80%.
Sure. Setting smart strip brightness to 80%.
Okay, Google, set den light to 80%.
Okay.
All right. So what are we doing?
Well, there's a YouTube video, and I think it's on subject. But if you started at a minute, 55 seconds or something, and watch for a while, and then I only got one other thing, which is just text, so you don't.
Wait a minute. So yeah, there's the YouTube video, and then there's the Globe and Mail.com.
Yeah, but
article harassment.
Yeah, play the video. It's pretty good. You can start about 50 seconds in though, because the guys they're just BSing until then, I think.
You want me to start from the beginning?
No, I'll start about 50 seconds if you can.
And what do we want to do? About 2 minutes, 3?
Yeah, I got to 3 minutes. I'll run to 3.
All right, rock and roll.
In jail, charged with destruction of an archaeological site. Arriving back home, she received a hero's welcome from Toronto Tibetans. She says that her activism against the Chinese Communist government really took off 2 years ago when she was elected president of the University of Toronto.
Hold on a second, I've got a.
We're not on media view.
Yeah, my keyboard's. I got Bluetooth issues. Hold on.
Messages.
It's not.
Man, you better see the dentist. You know, when a tooth goes blue, it's dead.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. That's expensive.
Indeed.
All right, try it again from
I'm going to do it from 48.
Arriving back home, she received a hero's welcome from Toronto Tibetans. She says that her activism against the Chinese Communist government really took off 2 years ago when she was elected president of the University of Toronto Scarborough Campus Student Council. She received more than congratulatory messages.
Along with that came thousands and thousands of threats, death threats, rape threats against me, my family members, simply because of my Tibetan identity. One guy actually wrote a rap about how he was going to rape me in Chinese or Mandarin, and then said, oh wait, you wouldn't understand that, so let me send it to you in English, and then translated it and sent it to me in English. One thing that gets me choked up, reading the message that said, your mom's dead. I'd have to check in with my mom to make sure that she was safe. Once I said on my Instagram story, oh, is this hate from China, as a joke when it first started? And someone messaged me and said, no, bitch, I'm here.
Chemi Lamo identified the Chinese Students and Scholars Association at the University of Toronto as a source for her on-campus harassment. The organization is mainly composed of international students from mainland China under the leadership of the Chinese embassy.
And so it was pretty obvious that I was being followed and watched and surveilled on campus, whether it was students or other people.
Where do you think these messages were coming from?
I think these messages were coming definitely from the Chinese embassy.
There was another incident involving the Chinese Students and Scholars Association at McMaster University in Hamilton, when Uyghur Canadian Rukia Turnesh showed up to speak about the oppression of her people in China. She was abused and disrupted by pro-Beijing students who were apparently directed by the Chinese embassy. The CSSA was banned from further activity at McMaster.
The Chinese Student Scholars Associations are reporting to the embassy what's going on campus.
Charles Burton was a Canadian diplomat in China and then a university professor in Canada.
And if a Chinese student spoke out of turn or seemed to be affiliating with other student groups that support human rights or the rights of ethnic minorities in China, like Tibetans and Uyghurs, this could be potentially career destroying, would likely lead to some degree of intimidation of their families back in China, and in general, it keeps the students in line.
China's intimidation of Chinese Canadians occasionally spills out into the streets.
Free Hong Kong! Free China!
In August of 2019, Canadians in support of Hong Kong democracy announced they would protest in several cities across the country on the same day. They encountered well-organized and well-funded counter-protests by pro-Beijing crowds. In Halifax, Toronto, and Vancouver, the pro-Beijing protesters carried the same printed posters, the same brand new China flags, and shouted the same slogans. The pro-democracy demonstrators tried to sing the Canadian national anthem, but were shouted down by the pro-Beijing group singing the Chinese anthem.
So what is going on?
I know.
Canuck. Thank you for providing all this, because I covered all the the U.S. side of it, and then I was like, hey, Canuck, dig something up in Canada, and you dug something up, all right.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to dig, and did you notice the counter protesters? Same signs, same flags, same slogans, obviously embedded, and you can be sure that those counter protesters are keeping an eye on their fellow students that are calling out China on their malfeasance and reporting them. So it's like the neighborhood watch type thing, like the Soviets used to have every block had somebody looking out their window, usually some old woman or something, and watching.
Yeah, but it's
everybody.
getting to the point where they're singing China's national anthem. It's getting to the point where it's basically saying China has taken Canada. That's what the CCP is. It's not just going after distance and everything else. It's about full control of Canada. That's my impression.
Listen, there's something going on here, and nobody can figure it out. But Canada is being inordinately soft on China. Maybe it has to do with the economic trade it usually does.
I think it has to come down
wait. Here, check it out. We count on them to buy our soybeans. Huge. We are counting on them to buy our natural gas, which we're spending tens and tens of billions of dollars to develop and get piped through unceded Indian territory so we can have an LNG plant on the north coast of British Columbia to ship it where? To China. Okay, so, and I think this is the problem. We've touched on this quite a bit, particularly to do with China. Now, America is a pretty heavy-duty economic power. I mean, we're like, I think, 1/50 the size of American economy. But that's no excuse. And what I find, the takeaway I've gotten on my research, I was aware of the malfeasance. I didn't realize it was quite to that extent. However, the one that gets me is the quote that Canada doesn't have any laws against quote unquote clandestine foreign influence. And that's from CSIS, which is our CIA. Begs the question, why don't we? That was the first thing you said. Well, that goes back the question of, I mean, look the way we lapdog to the Chinese during the takeover of the Michaels. I mean, basically, we just went, oh, yeah, you grabbed a couple of our citizens. You really shouldn't have done that, I mean, we didn't, no trade sanctions that I know of, no, not getting up every single day and browbeating them over it. They basically would mention it. Well, the two Michaels. Well, I'd say, see, the states made us take Madame Butterfly into custody, and she's under house arrest in a $16 million mansion in Vancouver, and our guys are over in an unheated room with the lights on 24/7 for over 2 years.
Yeah.
So there's something going on here. We all got our problems, but I think that it's a, and you know how much of an issue it is here in Canada, pretty much to the normal people, like hardly any. It's not even. It's not even on the radar.
From what you see on the mainstream media, the main, you're not seeing any coverage of this, right?
No. And that goes back to the whole hands. I mean, I think the Canadian government's scared of China, and they don't want to upset them, too. So it's like, and I like the fact that it's so under the radar.
It's going to come to the point where they can't keep going.
China's going to keep taking more and more advantage of us.
Yeah, it's about resources. It's all this whole century is all going to be about resources, everything.
Yeah,
China's buying up farmland in the United States. Why? Why do we allow this? Why do we allow them to buy farmland? I mean,
here we've got mines, like big friggin' mines here in Canada, owned by Chinese. They own all kinds of stuff. They wanted to take. We stopped them from doing the 5G thing into here from the Madame Butterfly's company, but that was only because the States was really pressuring us to do that. So, anyway, congratulations to the United States. They win this one. The United States also won the First Nations, the Indigenous People Rights thing award. So don't kid yourself. Canada has one of the best PR outfits in the world. We're seen as this environmentally friendly country. Our footprint is huge. per capita, we're worse in carbon emissions in the United States. Okay, what else? We're tearing apart our old growth forests. It's a myth, people. It's a myth, okay? I'm just telling you. The reason Canada looks so environmentally beautiful is because it's huge and there's a lot of nice environment here. But and the old growth forest, we're going to cover that because I'm deep in with the my activist people again. We're trying to stop the old growth forest here, the last remaining. And I just finished a video, blockades. We got blockades on the logging roads and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, we had that spring fireside chat. I mean, you really have a nice, where you're at. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, well, it shows you what kind of trees grow around here.
You got to preserve it.
I mean, I can preserve my 1.5 acres or 2 acres of trees, and that's wonderful. Meanwhile, those same trees used to grow all over the place around here, and they've all been made into toothpicks and 2x4s. And you want to hear more malfeasance? We ship whole logs to Japan and to China. Whole logs. We don't even make anything out of them. We don't even saw them into boards. We ship them to them so they can make all the money. Make prefabricated friggin' shelves and stuff like that, and then send it back to us and we buy them.
Everything is shifting now.
Globalization is taking a hit, man. Globalization taking a huge hit.
Either we get self-sufficient regionally, or we just go into complete chaos, because that's our only.
No, I've been advocating that all my life. Grow local, produce local, buy local, stay local. I mean, the carbon footprint of moving everything from China to here and then back again, and then back over again, and then refabricating it and then send it somewhere else is ridiculous. And the system is now failing. And we can thank Vladimir Putin, because he's a Pukey boy. He's aggravated the situation, maybe to the point where things are going to have to change. We'll have to see. But China is so much more a thorny situation, because I'm alluding to the Canadian situation, and American, for that matter, of our economic ties to them. So until people get...
Well, we've got a few more links. We also have Sour D in the chat.
Hey,
and he's throwing lemons around, and that's appreciated. Thank you for the lemons.
Baby.
All right, so let's take a look at the links we have. We have the Globe and Mail. We have this article, Harassment of Hong Kong Activists.
Globe and Mail, I'll just read out of that, okay, because it's just an article. It's about a Hong Kong guy. And her name is Ms. Lee, 32 years old. A fresh start for her in Canada. Does not mean any harassment attack on the Chinese Communist Party and its proxies each day. Ms. Lee, L-A-I, is subjected to a torrent of abuse when she opens up her social media account. She receives dozens of missives daily full of foul words and misogynistic attacks. She's been sent video clips of beheadings. This woman is being sent video clips of beheadings. You are such a shame for a Hong Konger. Be careful you don't die in an accident. One recent message said. Charlie Wong, Executive Director of the Alliance Canada Hong Kong, an umbrella group for Hong Kong pro-democracy activists in Canada, said they and their supporters are particularly targets for intimidation. He said harassment of dissidents in the diaspora never stops. Sherry Wong, she said the Chinese Communist Party in Beijing has identified these folks as clearly disobeying the interests of the Hong Kong and Chinese governments. Disobeying the interests of the Chinese and Hong Kong governments gets you flooded with vulgar email and death threats.
This is like what high school kids do online. I mean,
yeah, except this is serious.
It's insane. It's just
intimidation.
I mean, it really is. It's lowbrow. It's disgusting. I mean, it's not. And it's psychological warfare.
And legal in Canada. Go figure. I don't like it. I'm going to see what I can do about that. See if any of my activist friends have some extra time.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it goes back to why doesn't Canada have these laws in place to protect its own citizens? I mean, I don't, I'm very vocal and very against Trudeau. I mean, I don't think a lot of people like Trudeau. We'll see. You're up there.
Yeah.
At the next election, we'll see how it goes. But I think Trudeau is
won't
taking.
be one for a while.
All these, China
I got
is
an
buying
update.
politicians. They're buying CCP is buying politicians all over the world. That's the problem.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't think you can just blame. The prime minister's not all that powerful. Basically, they're the leader of the party that has the most seats. And just as an update for you folks that probably don't give a damn about it, but anyway, the Trudeau Liberal government was a minority government, but the NDP was helping them get legislation passed. The NDP and the Liberal Party made a deal that they were going to get along unless something really weird happened. So we're not going to have an election here for about 3 years. The thing about Trudeau is that he's a disappointment to a lot of people. Let's put it that way. And he does stupid things. He goes over to Europe. He's giving a speech to the EU, big time speech, and it's about the Ukraine. And he gets off on this thing about the truck protests in Canada. Nobody gives a fucking rat's ass about the truck protests in Canada in the EU. But he decided to plug it in there for some reason. And a bunch of the EU guys just said, like, why? I mean, also it caused controversy because some of the EU people are also anti-vax, and a lot of people then were calling him out on the Emergency Act. Like, he didn't need to do that. So he's not that sharp. He's not as sharp as his dad. His dad, Pierre Trudeau, that guy was.
Yeah, everybody says
sharp.
that.
Oh, he was sharp, dude. He was really sharp. But I mean, Trudeau was born with. He was. We covered this years ago, but little Justin, I think he was only 5 or 6 years old, was visiting Richard Nixon with his dad in the White House. And Richard said, he looked over at little Justin boy and he said, "Oh, I'll bet he'll be Prime Minister of Canada someday." And I think Justin probably overheard him saying that and went, "Oh, yes, I'm going to be. No, I'm serious.
But I'm gonna be a snowboard instructor for a little while and ride a skateboard and this or that. So do some acting. I don't know.
Yeah, do some stupid things like blackface. They have them in blackface at some college dormitory party. I mean, kind of stupid things. But his name is Trudeau. And so when he came along, he already had the name recognition. That got him a long way down
he's
the road.
charismatic, right? You get these politicians. That's it. It's just they're charismatic, and there's like an empty shell of nothingness.
Hey, he looks good on camera. Hey, you got to admit, our prime minister looks better than your last few presidents. Yeah, I mean,
he looks like a
Barack
woman.
Barack was pretty good looking, man. But I think Donald was a bit on the large side.
I want Donald's hair. I'm going to work on it. I'm going to do it like a Donald Trump look.
Donald Trump weighs about 3 times what I weigh, which is maybe twice as much he could get away with. I don't know about the hair. And I mean, Joe Boy, I mean, he looks all right, but he's like almost 80 years old, and even I don't look as good as I used to. I mean, I'm not going to be on the cover of GQ. Okay, well, that's all I got on. But I'm serious, people. This one's got my goat, so to speak. The Chinese interference, because these are my fellow citizens. All right, because I'm a Canadian, and well, I am now. I mean, I used to be American. I'm still a bit of an American. Don't worry, but. No, this is not good, and the fact that we have no laws against it. So kudos to the states for at least standing up to their people there. I guess you want to move on to Bizarro. You got some more dirt on this China thing.
Yeah, I just want to mention real quick. At Sour D in the chat, he's started using Gilded So I got that downloaded. So Guild is basically like Discord, different version. You know, they're trying to steal Discord's thunder. And as we reported, I think Discord's it's probably going to the user base is going to be reduced significantly. And I just keep getting spammed by crypto scammers, and I'm gonna be running it in its own VM. I'm gonna test moving forward because I have serious concerns about security, and I think everybody out there should be taking a look at that if you're using Discord. But that just goes back to social media. It's just now we got to move to another platform, and I'm going to be looking to other Discord protocols. There's an open source one called Matrix that I'm checking out. But that'll be for a future stream. We also have China's aggression backfires big time. This is a China unscripted video, and we have a Russian soldier drives tank over commander in protest of Ukraine invasion.
This is not good. The second, whenever the tank
you want to do
thing.
The Russian one?
All right. Well, yeah, there was a thing that happened, and this is media didn't really cover it hardly at all. It was too icky, but I know people that were in Vietnam and that served in Vietnam, and sometimes the guys would get so pissed off at the incompetence or whatever their second lieutenant or whoever the platoon leader was, and I think the term was fracking, and they'd shoot them. Right? They just shoot them. And so when I ran across this article, and it shows very bad morale when your soldiers are killing your officers. And it has been covered by mainstream media, some about the Russian soldiers' somewhat inordinate dissatisfaction with being in Ukraine in the first place.
Well, I think the Russian army, look what happened in World War II. I mean, they were extremely brutal. I mean, it's just an extremely brutal military. I mean, Stalin, a lot of the soldiers didn't want to fight, and I don't blame. It's absolutely insane. Russia lost more soldiers and citizens in World War II than any other country. It was absolutely insane. The numbers were off the charts. So soldiers wanted to desert, and they would get shot. And you're kind of seeing that here. Things have stayed the same with the Russian army. Extremely brutal. Extremely brutal.
I would imagine. I wouldn't want to be in it.
So this is from the dailyrecord.co.uk. Video released by a Russian source shows Colonel Yuri Mendevev being taken to a Belarus hospital for urgent treatment following the alleged incident.
It is alleged, by the way. But
yeah, this is. I mean, obviously, it's extremely difficult to verify all this stuff coming out of Ukraine because it's a massive propaganda war between the West and the East. Russia, China,
and also stories like this,
U.S., Europe, what have you, Canada.
Stories like this are difficult for us because mainstream media a lot of times does not cover these things, so we have trouble getting verification. But anyway, we're going to stand by it for now. If you find out it's false, let us know, okay?
Yeah, so moving on. Let's move to the cybersecurity stuff and the Lapsus group with their elite-like name. And this is from Gizmodo. And I'm going to actually switch to Media Viewer because we were not in it. 6 tech giants that have been breached by a nefarious new hacker gang. Lapsus, a new cybercriminal gang with serious chutzpah, has been pillaging the tech sector. Biggest names for this digital secrets. I've got to update this because I heard that they found the guy and it was mainly one guy, but I will update the show notes on it. Additional details, and I think we're going to be covering this, at least this concept, obviously again and again. But a new hacker gang has been stealing code from some of the world's biggest tech companies and dumping it all over the internet. The culprit is Lapsus, a criminal outfit whose trademark is taking on the biggest, shiniest target it can find, breaching it, and then slyly bragging about the conquest. Check out the slideshow. Get rid of this advertisement. So Microsoft has been affected. NVIDIA, this one is absolutely big. I covered this a little bit. We got about a terabyte of data. Supposedly, it did leak out on the dark web. I saw some YouTubers, crypto miners discussing it. Just pretty big leak. We're talking about intellectual property that NVIDIA spent billions and billions of dollars investing in. To tell you the truth, I'd like to see this happen to Apple, so that for the Hackintosh community, so that we could build ARM-based Hackintoshes. But you didn't hear that from me due to legal reasons. That didn't actually come from me. Ubisoft, another massive video game maker. Samsung, this one's big. I want to dig into this a little bit more and see if I can find anything good. But obviously, the biggest mobile phone.
Yeah, particularly Galaxy. I think
in the world.
Saying. The
What's
Galaxy. I seem to remember hearing that the Galaxy in particular series of smartphones is quite invaded, for whatever that's worth. I guess there's different core iOSs in these different phone series, right?
And linking stuff like this, then it just makes it easier to create hacks in 0 days. So it's not a good development.
No.
But I think NVIDIA is starting to do some stuff here. I think they're going to start. The one good thing, like NVIDIA may have to be forced to, start opening up their markets and doing the right thing in certain degrees. And Apple's going to have to do it, especially if they get hacked and their code starts getting dumped, then the cat's out of the bag. So yes, these hacks are bad, but hopefully. We're not supposed to hope, right? But this code comes out, there's going to be some good from it. This isn't all bad.
No.
These are large corporations that are continuing, especially like Apple, perfect example. Their hardware keeps getting more and more expensive. Now they have subscriptions to their hardware. These companies have become too big, and they're going away from consumer friendliness and just getting on the debt model, Apple Card, all this stuff. You're just becoming a debt slave. Technology is not becoming more affordable. It's really insane, and where it's supposed to become more affordable and where you can own it. It's just ridiculous, and they're putting everything on the cloud. Video games and software is getting put on the cloud. You don't own it, so
and forced upgrades.
People need to be aware of it and stop. Don't do. I'm not going to do cloud gaming or anything like that. Subscription-based software I shy away from. It's not good. It's not a good long-term solution. And if the masses adopt it, then these companies are going to continue to do it. If you don't adopt it, these companies will be forced to come up with better products that the individual and the consumer owns and has control over, some degree of control.
That's right. Listen to the Yankee.
So there you have it with that. And hacktivists new and veteran target Russia with one of cyber's oldest tools. We'll do over this real quick. Distributed denial servers attacks aren't sophisticated, but they can still be effective for people looking to join the fight. This video, let's stop this. We'll just do a little bit of it. It's 3 minutes. And it's
he's doing all he can. Taras says he can't fight the Russians on the front line, but online he's doing all he can to hurt the invading country's war effort.
I cannot be drafted to military directly due to health reasons, but if anything else but that, I do it.
Taras, who asks us to conceal his identity and use a pseudonym for security reasons, says he used to be a software engineer, but the war pulled him in a different direction. Cyber hacking.
What was the motivation for you to do this?
I try to do whatever I can reach to end the war, to stop killing Ukrainian people. You can see as goals that we would be targeting.
He says his objective is to overload Russian websites by flooding them with traffic, making it impossible for servers of Russian businesses and media outlets to carry on working. To be clear, this type of attack is a crime for individuals in the United States and Russia, but Russia has deployed similar tactics in the past, according to the White House. Taras says that the cyber attacks that he and other digital fighters conduct strike deep blows to the Russian economy, as they've increased in frequency during the war, according to the cybersecurity company Rostelecom Solar. And how much damage does this do to the Russian operation?
It is dealing a lot of monetary damage to the companies that we are targeting. These are Russian media sites, sites that a lot of Russians are using, banks, railway system sites, military governmental sites.
It's not just the economy he's after, but the Russian state media. That has proved to be a harder target.
Yeah, propaganda machine is hitting hard Russian people, and I think they lost their minds or something.
You're telling them what's happening here, and they're your family members, but they're not listening to you.
Yes, they think that this is fake.
Taras moved to Western Ukraine a few years ago, but says his family, like so many others, have had to run away from their homes in hard-hit areas. His grandparents face...
Wait, that's stupid. What do they think it's all fake? I just want to step back a little bit. That's goes back to everything we're talking about. This is psychological warfare. I mean, people on a mass scale are just being disillusioned.
Yeah, propaganda machine is hitting hard Russian people, and I think they lost their minds or something.
You're telling them what's happening here, and they're your family members, but they're not listening to you.
Yes, they think that this is fake.
Taras moved to Western Ukraine a few years ago, but says his family, like so many others, have had to run away from their...
Yeah, so this is just falls back into the whole, you got Ukraine recruiting the public to hack. Everybody's drawing lines in the sand.
They're putting up one heck of a fight, I can tell you that. All right, well, it's 2:31 here on the West Coast. I don't know what it is over there. Must be dinner time.
Well, we've got inside a Bitcoin mine at a natural gas well in Texas. We also have how to escape censorship. I definitely want to do how to escape censorship. If you want to skip, we could skip the Bitcoin mine.
We'll come back to it next week. Yeah, let's come back to it next week, okay?
All right. So I just want to go real quick over how to escape internet censorship, because I also have, and this is not updating. So hold on a second. I have to see why this is an issue. Web cache issue. There we go. This last article is very interesting. We'll get to it. Get these two first out of the way. How to escape internet censorship. This is an interesting article. Really, we're getting to the point where definitely people in Canada and the U.S. can look into doing stuff like this, but it just has the basics of it. I think people need to start. Obviously, proxies are not recommended. Stay away from HTTP proxies. Those are very basic, unless it's SSL encrypted. This one here, shadow stocks, I want to check out. Let's just do something real quick here. A fast tunnel proxy that helps you bypass firewalls. Anybody out there, have you checked this out? Have you used shadow stocks? I'm going to look into it. It's all open source. You can hack it, do whatever you want. But it's basically, it's just like another form of a VPN to a certain degree. It's not doesn't have all the network functionality of a VPN, a full-featured VPN, but it's really good for just traversing the internet securely on another IP address. There's obviously virtual private networks, which are definitely going to be going through a transition, and there's SH tunnels, which I'm going to cover in that last article. Now, just want to go back to Deeper Connect. I'm going to be picking up one of these puppies. Anybody out there that wants to join me in the journey, let me know. Even if you need a little bit of money, I might be able to help you out. If you'd be willing to help me test it, because I really need to. I could learn a lot more with two people than just, two brains are better than one. So
that's right.
There's that. This thing basically creates a mesh distributed VPN system. Each one of these devices is a client server VPN. You can connect to anybody, and you also can mine crypto, which down the road you'll need to keep your VPN service free. So this is part of a blockchain and the whole sharing economy. This thing hopefully does well because it's a really good model and a step in the right direction, I think.
Yeah, we need more hardware like that.
Now, how to route web traffic securely without a VPN using a SOX tunnel. I know this is kind of geeky and nerdy, but it's okay to be a nerd. I'm telling you here first.
I know,
okay to be a geek.
Yeah, you got a geek show every week. Yeah, tell the Canuck and Yankee people.
Just real quick, but this is really if you're running Mac OS and if you're running Linux, this thing is really easy to do. Let me know. This is the command right here. I'm going to be digging through this. I used to do these tunnels all the time. I'm getting back into this, building some stuff out. But basically, you issue this command and bang, you can use your web browser and go crazy. Securely with encrypted SSH tunnel and traverse the internet from a different location under a different IP. This is really cool stuff, and definitely check it out. And that's it for the main topics, and I do believe it is Bizarro time. And unfortunately, we're going to have an update on the egg farmer and the hen, which I thought was a Dr. Seuss book, but I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But we're not going to start with that first. We got the first one
Gives me
here.
the shakes. Yeah.
The first one here is Sign Wars sparked between Speedy Glass and Dairy Queen in Listowel, Ontario.
And our quest for Dairy Queen stories, I came up with this, but it's cute. You know, it's Canadian. And they're just kind of swapping signs back and forth between these businesses and poking fun at each other a little bit. And it's kind of a good, warm and fuzzy Canadian.
How long is this? Probably short, right?
I hope so.
It's absolutely huge. I don't know why they didn't do the dimensions right in this webpage, but
don't have any idea. I think it's in Ontario or something.
Yeah, it is Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
Fire up the grill. We're about to toast your buns. Our ice cream is smoother than your lines. Wow.
Yeah. And then
hey, Speedy Glass and DQ, if this thing gets any hotter, we'll be ready with hoses and water. Oh, and PFD stuck their hoses in. We thought you were sweet, now you're just getting salty. Wow. Salty like our pretzel sticks. Hey, CTV, do you think this will go global? Some have schnitzel, others have ice cream, but a ride in our truck is everyone's dream. Speedy Auto Glass, the war is on. Let's battle.
That's Canadian.
I can't
That's our
read
idea
that
of a
one.
That's
no
our
cracks in our glass. Boo. Fires hot. Speedy has glass. Take her to Vex to get some schnitzel. And that's it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I say,
Finally,
as Canadian, that's the level of aggression that we have in a lot of Canada.
We're back in Ontario again. Ontario police chased 3 adorable piglets around Highway 17 for 45 minutes this morning.
Yeah, that's a police incident here in Canada. Yeah, our police have to deal with these things, and piglets, cops chasing piglets.
Listen to this article. I don't know so they have no video, but there's the little piglets.
No, there's no video.
They're probably a little hard to see, but you can see them there. The little piglets.
Yeah.
Are they in the back of the police car? Little little things.
Yeah.
You don't imprison little piglets in the back of a police car.
They're napping. They were worn out from being
Highway
chased.
17 looked like a scene from Babe, Pig in the City. This morning, as the police officers tried desperately to round up 3 stray piglets that were running around just half a kilometer east of Schreiber. Schreiber, Ontario Provincial Police said in our city they were called to the area after receiving an odd report about pigs on the road. When police arrived, they found 4 small piglets. However, a spokesperson for OPP said one of the piglets was badly hurt, and an officer on the scene ended its suffering. Oh, that's too bad. I hope they at least make. Can you make bacon out of little piglets? Probably don't get as much, but I like bacon. Everybody likes bacon. The officers managed to herd the 3 other piglets off the highway at a truck pull-off. However, the little piglets were exactly eager to cooperate. And according to a tweet from OPP Northwest Region, officers had to chase the group down for 45 minutes. So
That's
there you go.
Yeah.
Maybe next time we'll have video for a piglet bizarro, but nonetheless,
Yeah,
we'll
well.
move on. And I don't have a link for it because I don't want to bring up any imagery from this next story, but we do have updates on the egg farmer and the hen.
Yeah, this goes into, for those of you devoted listeners and followers of the Variant News show, Canuck and Yankee, I found this story about a week and a half ago. We made calls to the hospital. The Yankee called the ASPCA, except they aren't the ASPCA. So what's the update? I wasn't there for that call. What happened?
Well, I just want to preface the basic graphical imagery for you here of the story. That's
the story is that a chicken was found up a drunk guy, naked guy,
egg farmer
from
Shelbyville, Indiana.
Supposedly, the police found him, and the chicken was alive up in his rectal cavity. Now, okay, so what did they said? They said it was false, right? Or what? What did the guy say, or the good woman say at the animal shelter?
So at the animal shelter, and unfortunately, I had my mic was muted moment, so I don't have the recording. Otherwise, I would have played it. But I basically said, from Variant News, and there's a report of an egg farmer and a hen, and there was an issue, and that the ASPCA had taken the hen in, and the guy basically said he saw the story on Facebook and that it's fake news. He believes that it's fake news, and I'm going to look into calling him back again just because.
Yeah,
we'll see if I can. We've got to look. I got to discuss it with the Canuck and see if we could if we're able to dig up more information. But that's basically what he said, and that I had done a Google reverse image on the image that they used, and that it appeared. They said the person was Christopher Adams, which appears to be male, and it was actually a woman that I found the image of, and so it just looked like they just obviously took an image off Google Images or whatever and just placed it in there. And it goes deeper on a psychological level. Who is doing this? You're seeing stories like this all over.
Now, as diligent journalists following a very strange story, we're now moving into, if it's fake, which we're sort of assuming that it is, who wrote that? Who came up with that? And why? So this is going to be a new specialty of ours. We're going to try to find out who is behind any story that we deem as fake. Who faked it? There's some interesting writing. We're going to try to find out what the person was smoking when they made up that story. And also, we did find it on 2 different news sources. New Jersey paper.
No, there was multiple. I would say at least 4 or 5, but I think that's the next stage. How many news network, platforms pick this up, and why? Why are they doing stuff like this? It's obviously that this story it's extremely absurd,
and it's also kind of extremely disgusting.
Why are these news organizations just easily propagating all this?
I mean, I wouldn't want my kids reading the daily newspaper in New Jersey. I mean, you get the daily newspaper, you're in northern New Jersey, and the kids go, "Daddy, what is with the chicken up this man's, what is a rectal cavity?" That's how it would start. "Daddy, what's a rectal cavity?" Uh-oh. All right.
And so there's definitely a psychological angle there to all of that.
Yeah, so we're obligated to stay on top of this story for you and go in deep. We're going to be like the chicken. We're going in deep and try to find out the source, the credibility, the media that's covered it. We take no responsibility for this story, one way or the other, but we're doing our due diligence to investigate it for you because that's what we do.
And moving on, how to get kids to stop eating their boogers. I don't know why this is an article on Lifehacker. But it is. Nip this habit in the nostril before it gets out of control. We'll preface that. I was back in first grade. I do remember a friend of mine in my neighborhood that used to eat his own boogers in class.
Don't we all?
In class, he used to do it.
In class. Well, that's, should wait till you're.
And I was like, that's a little disturbing, but also, why are you doing it in class? Can't you just find a private moment for that?
I know.
But the kids are kids. There's nothing, you got to teach them. So, but why do kids eat boogers? I don't even know if I can. You know what? We're just going to move on to the next order before we get into more graphic descriptions
this is
of
not
that.
Good. We've got malfeasance on the farm. We got booger eating. Oh man,
it's a strange world that we live in, but and
so
it's going to get even stranger with brain implant.
Oh, that's just what
brain
I really
implant. And my Bluetooth is acting up. Brain implant enables completely locked-in man to communicate again. A pair of brain microchips could one day allow those in pseudocomas to communicate whatever they want. A new breakthrough suggests.
That's kind of cool.
And at first, a 34-year-old patient who lacked even the most subtle of muscle twitches had used the technology to share a few precious words with his family using little more than a intent to move his eyes. So this is actually a really nice story. Obviously, I know people that are, technophobic, they don't like to see, brain implants, but unfortunately, I believe that we are moving more towards becoming machine-like. And I'm doing my best to try to adapt, and hopefully one day I could become a machine.
Well, there's a difference between a very specific medical use of somebody that really just needs some help and something like in the Matrix or something where they stick the thing in the guy, or whatever, But yeah, with any technology, it can be used or abused. So is that enough media abuse for this week, or we got something else?
We have one more, I think. Yes, we do. We have YouTube. I'm not sure what this is. All right. Yeah. All right. This is the one that you sent. Canuck truck drives away after tornado flips it in Texas.
Yeah, this is hard video to see, but it's really quite the story of this kid. He was apparently coming back from an interview at a Burger King to get a job. He got the job. He's on his way home, and he kind of flipped out. Now a tornado flipped him out.
All right, well, let's hit it.
Some crazy video from Texas Monday when a tornado tore through the city of Elgin. Watch as a truck is flipped by a twister. Look at that. But then it's blown right side up. And yeah, there's a guy in that truck. The person in that truck just drives away.
No way.
Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do? I'd be trying to get out.
So that cannot be, that's not, obviously not, that's got to be an F1, man.
Yeah.
I mean, if that was an F3 and above, a truck would be in the air and circulating within like the vortex.
Out of there as well.
No, that's crazy,
no
man.
word on any injuries there,
I mean,
but a good illustration of why emergency crews tell you to stay in your vehicle if you're caught in the path of a tornado. But is that not crazy?
What did you do? Thing I've ever
Well, I was
seen.
just
It's a good thing
driving
it was caught
along,
on
and next
video
thing I
because
knew I was
nobody
flying
believed
through
the
the
guy.
air, and the next thing I
also
knew
you
I was
should wear
back
your
on the
seatbelt.
ground again.
Yeah, but look at that. I mean, blown
but I got the job.
right back
I have a
up.
friend in
And I would
Montana.
be flooring it out
He
of
went
there.
up and was fishing
That is insane.
off of Alaska, on one of those boats way out in the Bering Strait and all of that. And he actually got washed off the boat by a wave. And then another wave came along and threw him back on the boat. And all the sailors on the boat were just like, whoa. And you know what he did when he got back to port? He quit and moved back to Montana. The kid probably's going to have the same kind of PTSD or whatever they call it. You're just driving along. You think about the Burger King job, your first job.
Well, the truck saved him, though.
Yeah.
If he was in a
Subaru?
beat up
In
car
a
or
Subaru.
something.
If he's in a Subaru, he's probably been put into orbit, dude. Yeah. Yeah, thank God for American steel.
Or like a really light car that would have been much worse.
Well, there you go. And If that's the show, I got closing remarks.
Yeah, that's it that I can see here.
All right, I'm gonna do a closing remark.
Hold on, let me switch over to the old web view. Everybody can see your big, beautiful face.
Well, that's just nice of you to say. All right, here's my take, people. This goes out to all Canadians and all Americans. And when you're slagging our countries about your lack of freedom, I want you to think about the Chinese. Because even though we are not perfect in the United States and Canada with our freedoms, there are people in the United States on the woke side and on the right side, right-wing side, who completely sag down America, and the same up here. And okay, have some pride in our countries, make it better, and don't just sit around and complain. And comparative analysis is something I don't like doing, but if you compare us to China, if you compare us to Russia, if you compare us to Belarus, and almost so many places in the world, we've got it good. So let's build from the good. Let's use the power that we have as a people, as a relatively free nation, to be as free as possible. And that's it.
And I'll just add that don't get into exercise your rights. You have a right to your own opinion.
That's the best thing to do.
Don't worry. If you think somebody's going to call you racist, that's ridiculous. Just speak your mind, because you can see how they're subverting everything.
It's true. And the thing is,
they try to shoot you down by calling you racist or what have you. Just speak your mind.
And remember, folks, when you're speaking your mind, it's a good thing if your mind knows sort of what they're talking about. All right?
Right. And that's it. We will have a show next week. We're putting some stuff together. And yeah, I want to make some advancements on Jitsu and like my Raspberry Pi and stuff, and see if we can just kind of start a network, from the ground up, just with our bandwidth. Something that's just not associated with a centralized platform, and that's an interesting concept. So I'm going to be looking into that.
Keep us posted. We'll keep you posted. Whatever.
All right, people, be safe. It's probably warm where you are. I might be getting some snow. Who knows? Maybe I'll do a live stream.
It's warm here.
I actually just want to end the show. I did. I get some. Check out my DLive replays and on Twitch. It's on Twitter and all that. But I caught some intense rain and lightning strikes on 684 on the highway.
Right.
Really intense. I mean, check that out. So I had, I think Crazy Tacos caught some of it.
Nice.
All right, everybody. Take care. And we'll see you on the other side of things.
Yep.
Be good.
My tree. I love my woman.